Bam! Fantastic. And you touched on something that's so key. When you build a culture where people that work for you act like they own the business and they empower themselves to want to move up, not only for income, not everything's about income, but to see a path for career growth in their business and to do great things, and you empower them to show them that map and feel important. Obviously, you had that in the law firm, and he wanted you to do that in Chipotle, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. That's right.
I think that it's so important because a lot of entrepreneurs out there, they think that it's just about the numbers, and really you grow because of your people, right?
No,
You've got to find the right people.
No, it's sort of incredibly not about the numbers, actually.
Right.
If you want great numbers, probably the first thing you should do is forget about numbers and start worrying about, number one, are you trying to do something that is a service to people or a product? Are you going to do something that people are going to love, that's of great value to them? So the first thing in building a business is, and a lot of people go into business, hey, I want to make money. If you go into business with the primary goal of making money, it is a huge impediment, ironically, to you making money. If that's your top priority is to make money, you probably won't make much. If your top priority is to do something awesome and that people will really like, then you have a real shot. When Steve started Chipotle, Steve was an incredible chef, made great food, and took extremely seriously, building these delicious burritos, and people loved them. They were inexpensive. They were super good food. Steve was, created these amazing recipes and taught people to do it. And people loved the food and loved what we were serving. We were all very, very passionate about the food and about creating unbelievable customer experience. And so when I came in, I was like, okay, we got this awesome food. What's the single greatest thing I can do here? And the single greatest thing I could do, I knew, was to make sure that every single restaurant had an awesome general manager who really cared about what we were doing, cared about their customers, cared about their employees, was a great leader, and could could really create an awesome customer experience. And if you focus on that, then of course the rest of it takes care of itself. We had double-digit comp sales, year-over-year growth per store every single year, for year after year after year after year, just compounding on itself. So when I started, as general counsel of Chipotle back in, what was it? So 1998, I guess it was. At that time we had, our average unit volumes were $800,000, and then by the time I left, our average unit volumes were over 2.5 million per restaurant. So an enormous growth in sales. And also the number of restaurants went from, when I started as general counsel, about 8 to over 2,000. And our margins got much, 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 much better because awesome people get a lot more done in less time, with less people, with less waste, with more, and take better care of the equipment, clean the restaurant better, on and on. So It's one of those win things when you get a team of all top performers who are empowered. And this empowerment thing isn't just a word, you hear the word empowerment thrown around. For me, it was a very specific word, and I came up with a very specific definition. So empowerment is feeling confident in your ability and encouraged by your circumstances such that you feel motivated and at liberty to fully devote your talents to a purpose. Okay, that's what empowerment meant. So I wrote that definition. I taught that definition to everyone in the company and taught people to really focus on the definition because it's not just words, it's also a prescription. If your restaurant doesn't feel great, if it's dirty, if it's not operating well, if people don't seem happy, it's really simple. There's only 3 possible problem or underlying causes of that. Number 1, you might have some low performers. It's not usually that. Number 2, the people might not know what the standards are. It's almost never that. Okay. Number 3, the people aren't empowered. It's almost always that. So,
right.
What it takes to have a great restaurant company, and forget it, what it takes to have a great company of any kind, right, is, but I'll use the restaurant example. It takes, people knowing what the standards are and knowing how to achieve them, which in a restaurant company is, I'll give an absurdly simple example. If you want to have clean tables in the dining room, how do you do that? Well, you don't have to, you may teach people how to wipe the table once, but you don't need to teach them twice. It's easy to wipe a table. Okay. That's not hard. But yet most restaurants have dirty tables. Why? Well, because the people aren't empowered. Okay. But yet most leaders, when they see someone who, and I'm using this as an overly simplistic example, this dirty table thing, but it's a good example because most restaurants, fast food especially, you go in and what do you see? A bunch of dirty tables. They got some food on them, they're smudgy, it looks gross. Maybe less so in this coronavirus time because people are getting real crazy about cleaning stuff. But normally, tables might be dirty. Is that because the people don't know what the standards are? Never. Do you think that anyone in the world thinks that a dirty table, is better than or as good as a clean table? Of course not. Every employee knows tables are supposed to be clean. So if they don't do it, it's not because they don't know what the standards are. So now you're down to only two possible things it could be. Next thing, it could be that they are a low performer. They're just someone who doesn't care and doesn't have the capacity to care. Well, that's very unusual. That there are some times when somebody might not want to be there and they really want to be out racing cars and they could care less about their job. Yeah, that happens. But that's not very common. It's almost always that the person isn't empowered. Now, you take my definition, feeling confident in your ability and encouraged by your circumstances such that you feel motivated and at liberty to fully devote your talents to purpose. Two big pieces of that. Confident in your ability, encouraged by your circumstances. Again, of those two, confident in your ability is the easy part. That means you got to train someone. You got to train them how to do it. And they got to know how to do it well. With the table example, that's really easy. You give them a rag and a bottle of spray, and they can do it. The next thing is making sure that they're encouraged by their circumstances. Well, that's the harder part, okay? Because that means as their leader, you have to prove to them and demonstrate to them, number one, that you have a vision for them and for the company, right? It's like, hey, if we achieve our goal, you, Jason, it's going to be awesome for you. You're going to become part of a winning team. You're going to become a great leader of this business. You're going to become a leader of more and more restaurants over time. And we're going to change the way, people eat food in this country and make it a more respectful, more delicious experience. And you're going to be a key part of that. And the way you're going to do that is by building teams of top performers. And here's how you're going to do that. So, but I've got to prove to you, I care about you, that I know you, that I understand you, that I am going to stop at nothing to make you successful, that I am going to challenge you. I'm not just going to go easy on you if you're not at your best, but you've got to know that I have your best interest at heart. And if you know that I really care about you and I know what you want and I know how to help you get to a better place in your life, and I'm going to stop at nothing to get you there, guess what? You're going to be excited to follow my lead. If you believe I'm someone who has, the intelligence and the vision and the roadmap to help you get there. You're going to follow someone like that, but only if they care about you, So, but what's funny about most, and this is the differentiation between management and leadership, management is about getting someone to do something that you want them to do. Hey, clean the table, and I'm not saying management always sounds like, hey, clean the table, but basically management is about getting people to do what you want them to do. But leadership is about getting people to do what they want to do, which also happens to be in the furtherance of your purpose.
Right. That's good.
Yeah.
And that's accurate.
Yeah. It's like you show someone why doing what you need them to do is also going to be incredibly invigorating and helpful to them achieving their vision, And so if you can align your vision, the company's vision with the person's vision, and show them why that's really important to achieve. Well, heck, then they and if you care about them, them and understand them and challenge them and are going to make sure they're at their best, they get lit up, they get empowered. They want to do what it is that will help them, but will also help the business succeed. And that's the kind of culture we built at Chipotle. But ironically, so many people in the management world or leadership world, they just keep retraining. God, these tables don't get clean. I got to show them how to clean the tables again. Or, hey, the food's not being cooked correctly. I got to show them how to do it again. Hey, I've shown you this 10 times. Why aren't you doing it? I got to show you again. No, the answer is I've shown you 10 times. You still aren't doing it. It's not because you don't know how. It's because you don't care. And why would you care if you don't have a vision and you're not empowered? The answer is you wouldn't. So likewise, CEOs especially, they get in the game of trying to please their shareholders. Hey, I'm going to deliver a great return. And they talk about numbers and talk about numbers and talk about numbers. But guess what? Most of your employees, especially at a company, like Chipotle, we had 75,000 employees. Do you think our employees really could get motivated about the stock price? That wasn't their world. Their world is they're in the restaurants working really hard. And what's going to turn them on? If the CEO is always talking about money? No. If the CEO is talking about, we need better profit margins, what do they care? But if you're talking about, hey, you're important, you're really important to the future of this company. And this company is important because we're going to try to change the way people think about and eat fast food. We're going to help you become part of a winning team of top performers who are empowered to achieve high standards, and so forth.